Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About House. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Before we get started, I just want to thank all the people who watched the video because we got some very interesting stats. So we doubled the number of subscribers last year, just from the beginning of 2022 to the end of 22. So we exceeded what home prices did. We doubled in viewership. So we went from like 3,700 subscribers at the beginning of the year to 7,500.
Nice.
So it basically doubled. And people are watching our videos so our best month we had 85,000 video views.
Wow.
In a month. So we're doing almost 3,000 a day in our best month.
Nice. So we appreciate you watching. Thank you for watching. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and add to our tally of viewers. Hit the notification bell, like the video, share the video, and leave us a comment and tell us where you're watching from. If you are one of the subscribers who has been on the channel before, thank you for being here and thank you for adding to our tally. We appreciate it. We appreciate all your comments and we thank you for watching. Leave us a comment and tell us where you're watching from too and what you find entertaining or interesting about our videos so we can do more of that. We appreciate your feedback.
So as a lot of you know, we read through a lot of real estate information, and our favorite articles are the ones where they quote a lot of people. So what we did is we found this, we want to talk about 2023 and if home prices will drop, and if they will, why, and if they won't, why not. So this is more of a, giving you the information you need so that if you're in this decision of deciding whatever you're going to do, buy, sell, or not do anything, that you at least understand why you maybe are doing that.
Right.
Okay.
And it's more than just your particular situation and your place in your life. Sometimes it's what you perceive the market is doing, and that's influencing your decisions too. Okay.
So I'm just going to go to the first quote of the article and we'll talk about it. The nation's overall housing supply remains limited as those who purchased homes in recent years at extremely low mortgage rates are staying put. This tight inventory has kept prices from really dropping off, making homes still unaffordable for many, especially first-time homebuyers. Juana, we did a video where we basically said that real estate was turning into this thing where you were going to have the lords and the serfs.
Right.
People were going to, and then a newspaper basically copied those words, and they watched the channel. They copied those words, made an article talking about it. Literally, as I read through it, I'm like, they just copied our videos and put out this article. But so we have 40% of all homes are owned free and clear.
Right.
The other 60% of homes have almost all of them 20% down at least of equity. Plus, they have ridiculously low rates, almost all of them, except for people that bought 6 months ago with an FHA loan. Literally everybody else. So how is that affecting the natural rotation of homes coming onto the market?
So a couple things. Not only did people put 20% down for the most part, but they've also had appreciation over the last few years. So they have more than 20% equity. So that's kind of to start with.
Yeah.
And as far as the rotation of homes, to your point, the rotation of homes has slowed to a grinding halt because if you have a 3% mortgage, you're probably kind of gun shy as far as going out there and buying something with a 6%, 6.5% interest rate because your payment for your identical house, even for the identical price of your house, is going to be considerably more. So people who don't have to go out there and buy a house, they're kind of waiting on the sidelines right now, which also means that they're not selling their homes, which is influencing the amount of inventory we have. So low inventory, buyers being a little gun shy, it's kind of really, in some ways, kind of frozen the housing market. There are not a lot of transactions happening. I mean, of course, there are people who, get married, get divorced, have kids, move across the country, die, whatever. So, I mean, there are still houses turning, but not as many as would normally be turning through just normal life, people wanting to upgrade, downgrade, whatever's going on in their lives.
When you talk about homes turning, then there's one thing that will make home sales go to zero in a year. No sellers wanting to sell.
Right.
So while you can say it's all demand driven, it's not, because we already know that when people can't get what they think their house is worth, they put it on the market. That happened this spring and fall, right? And then what they all do, they all took them off the market.
Right. Yeah. So so what happened, this fall is people put their homes on the market. They did not get whatever their happy number was, and they said, I'll take the house off the market and I'll wait until the market catches up with me.
Right. The next quote, even though home prices remain high year over year, they're not as eye-popping as they were in early 22. This is the change year over year. This is not the actual price. How far home prices dip in 2023 will likely depend on where mortgage rates go. So what about those people waiting for the 2.75% interest rate to come back so that they can go buy a house super cheap?
You're going to have a really long wait. Like, it may not happen within our lifetimes. It's possible, but it's just not likely.
It took 8 years. The last time rates were 6.5, it took about 8 years to get to below 3 all the time.
Right.
Mortgage interest rates have sort of stayed between 3 and 4% the last few years. But I've got this chart, and I'm going to put it up after you talk. I'm going to go find the chart and put it up. But it's a historical look at interest rates. So want to explain to them, why is interest rates, like, why do people even care that much about interest rates when if interest rates go down in 2 or 3 years, they can refi? Like, why is it that big of a, does it really affect home prices that much?
So it affects home prices a lot from the perspective that buyers are very tied to that monthly payment, right? Mm-hmm. And the amount of the interest that you're paying composes most of that mortgage payment. Your mortgage payment is composed of generally 4 things: your interest, your principal, your insurance, and your taxes, right? The biggest part of that payment, particularly at the beginning of the loan, is the interest payment. So when that interest rate is high, that payment tends to be higher. And because we are payment driven, that's what makes such a difference to buyers.
Okay, so here's the chart. This is a fun chart that I found online. We did check these numbers. These numbers do pan out, okay? Now, they took some creative liberty to edit it, because these things go up and down. But if you start at the bottom, 1977, interest rates were 16.82%. And then by 84, they dropped to 14.67, 85, 12%, 90, 10%, 2000, 8%, 2022, 5.65%. It actually did, as you know, it dipped down to 2%, but even at 6%, right now I think the mortgage rates are about 6.5, 6.6. That's, if you look at this chart historically, that's really low. Like, it's still super low. And yes, home prices are more, but you know what didn't happen in 1977 when interest rates were 16%? Home prices didn't crash. Yeah. And you know what 84 didn't happen? They still didn't crash. And matter of fact, in 90, they didn't crash. And in 2000, they didn't crash. Interest rates, while they do affect affordability and they affect qualification, Juana, we know that a lot of people pay cash for houses.
A lot of people do pay cash for houses. And, this makes a difference to people at certain price points. And then you get beyond that and it no longer makes a difference.
So what price, okay, let's talk, because you just said price points. The people this affects are an FHA buyer, a VA buyer, people without high income, people without a lot of savings.
Right.
Why is that?
So because these are the people that are living the closest to between what they earn and what they spend, so that they have the least amount of disposable income. So as the amount of disposable income increases, this becomes less of an issue. And there are, to your point, there are products out there to help people who have less disposable income. So for FHA buyers, it's a low down payment. For VA buyers, it's 0 down payment. Mm-hmm. There are all kinds of programs, Teacher Next Door, Cop Next Door. There are, right now Nevada has a program that it used to be just for first-time buyers, but it's not even for first-time buyers anymore. It just has to be income qualified. And right. The income qualification is really very generous. And any house basically within the FHA range will qualify and that sort of thing. So there are lots of programs out there. You just have to be creative. But to that point, that interest rate is kind of what drives those programs, because you have less down payment. So you have a less qualified buyer. That means that there is more risk. So that interest rate will be higher.
Okay.
But in this market, right now, you can still get sellers to help out with closing costs. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can use some of those closing costs to buy down the rate a little bit and make those payments more affordable. That may or may not be the case in a few months when the spring buying season kicks in, and maybe there are more buyers on the market chasing less homes than there are buyers. Then sellers may not be so incentivized to be as generous with their contributions.
Yeah. The next quote, there's a couple more here that I really liked. So the median existing home sale price was up 3.5% to 370,700 in November compared to a year ago. Now this number differs from the other number we had, which was 8% from another source, according to NAR. And I think the other one was CoreLogic or somebody. But it was the 129th consecutive month of year-over-year price increases, a record streak, even though home prices have fallen for the record high of 413,800. So median home prices were well under 300 2 years ago. They went up to 413. They came back down to 370. So they're still up over 20+%. But we got some data or some info that basically this might be like, it might be potentially one scenario is that this is it. Like this was your, like if you were looking to buy the dip, this was it. And you may have either missed it or and what did we say back in May when we thought the best months if someone was going to buy would be?
I think you said October, November, December, January.
Right. So I think once we get to February or March, I think that's pretty much going to be done.
And that's a substantial possibility, particularly with inventory levels not climbing, at least right now. Buyers will come back because people need to live somewhere, and they will be chasing fewer homes in the inventory.
Okay. One of the metrics they use to determine when the real estate has bottomed out is not based on prices. It's based on total numbers of sales. And here's a quote from the article. Total existing home sales dropped from 7.7% October to November. Not prices, totals of sales, marking the 10th consecutive month of declining sales and down 35% from a year ago. Some of this is supply side. There are just less houses on the market.
I think all of it is supply side, honestly.
Okay.
Because look, if you only have 10 homes for sale and you sell 8 of them, but the year before you had 35 homes for sale and you sold 8 of them, well, you sold 8 in both markets, but when you sold 8 out of 10, when you sold 8 out of 35, where is the declining market?
And we are the smart investors who have been sitting on cash waiting for a time to buy. And we went out there to find a property and we had a hard time because of lack of actual numbers of properties to buy. It had nothing to do with, oh, they're too expensive or whatever. It was just like, well, where are the houses? Like, where are they?
Right.
And when there's not something you want to buy, you basically don't go buy.
Right.
This is the last sentence. Because of this, some experts say the housing market has reached its bottom already. Will be interesting to see. We do know every single year since at least 2008, there are more transactions done in the spring than in the fall. Every single year. It is not uncommon. Yes, it's been substantially less, but we went from a high where every house that came on the market was almost immediately selling. So homes were transacting very quickly. And then you had a bunch of people that were taking advantage of this, of the prices to sell. They were sort of incentivized to sell. We know people like that who even said, I was thinking of leaving Vegas in the next 2 years, but when I realized what I could get for my house, I said, screw it, I'm going to sell my house now and move to a farm in Ohio. Like literally, that's what they said.
Yep. That actual quote, yes. So it does happen. I don't know that we are, so I'm going to put it this way. The bottom is different market by market. So it may not be at the bottom where you are, and it may not be at the bottom in your neighborhood versus the neighborhood adjoining you, because real estate is hyper-local. So do take a look at what's happening in your particular market, because it does differ. And that's something that I've kind of tried to drill very hard on the videos, because it is just so different. Okay.
If sales are down 35%, that means 65% of the people that bought last year, the same number, are buying this year or this same time of year. And that's counterintuitive, because a lot of people are going, this is a terrible time to buy. Why are these people doing this? But this isn't like the stock market where you put a bunch of money into E-Trade and you click buy and it costs you $0 to buy. And then at some point in the future, you click sell and you sell and you have realized gains, right? There are advantages of owning a house outside of the timing of the market, right?
Right.
So your lease is up, and now you're making the most money you've ever made, and you actually look and realize that some of the houses that 6 months ago were more money or a little less money. So you're thinking this is an opportunity, right?
Right, and especially like I've said before, like people have said, well, that $450,000 house is, the payment is now so much higher. And my argument is like, well, no, not really. It isn't, because you're also in a market where, your seller is going to be willing to let you do inspections, is going to maybe do some repairs or give you some credits for repairs, maybe going to contribute to your closing costs, maybe will buy down your rate. So maybe that seller will buy down your rate sufficiently to where it's close to, your payment is close to what it would have been a year ago, but you're not having to go through all the pain that everybody went through a year ago when they were trying to buy a house. And this is the house that you want. It's in the right neighborhood. It's in, it's exactly the floor plan you wanted. If it's a home that you're going to be moving into, then it's really worth a consideration.
Another advantage is mortgage deduction.
Right. So you get to, depending on what's going on with you, but most people get to deduct their home mortgage. They get to deduct their property taxes. And, I don't think that you can overstate the satisfaction that you have from owning your own home, being able to, put up those pictures and have that sparkly wall for your daughter, or, those trucks painted on the wall for your son, or just, do that gaming studio that you always wanted, or whatever it is that's important to you that you couldn't do in a rental.
Here's the other thing too. You have two people. We'll just say it's one person. They have a choice. They can either rent for $2,000 or they can get a mortgage for $2,500, which in most parts of the U.S., about 75, 80%, that's the case. There's still areas where you can still buy cheaper than renting, but we'll just take the most scenarios. It's $500 more a month, okay? But what do you get for that? First thing you get is that $2,500 a month payment. Some of it's going to pay down your loan. It's equity. You're paying it to yourself.
Right.
So it could be $200, let's say, right?
$2,500, it's probably about $250.
Okay.
So probably out of that $2,500 payment, maybe somewhere close to $1,800 is going to interest. So you get to deduct that from your income on your income taxes. Plus, you probably maybe are paying
property taxes.
Maybe $3,000, $4,000 a month in property tax a year. I'm sorry, a year. In property tax, so you get to deduct that from your income tax. So by the time you deduct all these things, the way it looks is a little bit different than it looks right when you first look at it. The difference between $2,000 and $2,500, it looks a little bit different. And like Todd said, you are building equity both through your monthly payment, because you're reducing the principal on your mortgage, and over time you're building equity, so you're building wealth. It's a good way to build wealth. Relatively painlessly. I always say, look, you're going to make somebody's mortgage payment, you may as well make your own.
Right. Yeah. I think that you can't overstate the advantages of, even if the payment's a little higher for your monthly whatever, that you get these benefits that in some ways you almost can't afford to not do it.
Right. But, buying a home, there's a good time for somebody to buy a home, and there's a time for them to wait. I'm always a strong proponent of having, 6 to 8 months of reserves after you close of escrow. So it means after your down payment, after your closing costs, after all that money is spent, after you've moved in, you should still have 6 to 8 months of reserves, so that, if there's an unforeseen circumstance that happens, you're not in a bad situation, and you're able to persevere through that period of time and come out the other end okay.
Next quote, it seems we've already reached the bottom of the low home sales activity, says Nadi Evangelou, senior economist and director of forecasting for the National Association of Realtors. And with mortgage rates stabilizing near 6%, we expect the housing market to turn around in 2023 and rebound in 2024. Now, this doesn't mean prices going up or anything. It just means get back to a normal market.
Right. So
because honestly, realtors and NAR care far more about total number of transactions sold than what prices do, right?
Right.
Because if you gave a real estate agent the choice, you could sell 30 homes next year or home prices go up 10% and you could sell 20 homes. Which would they rather do?
They would rather sell 30 homes. They make more money on 30 homes.
They make more money on 30 homes.
We make more money on the number of transactions than on individual transactions in that way. And what Nadia Evangel is talking about is basically a calm market in 2023. A little up, a little down, but nothing too exciting.
Okay, now we're going to talk about the supply side here. Housing inventory prediction for 2023. Low housing inventory has been a challenge since the 2008 housing crash when the construction of new homes plummeted and it hasn't fully recovered.
Right. So, we've kind of been beating this horse to death, but according to all the economists, the U.S. is short about 3.8 million homes, and we are not going to be making that up anytime soon.
We did a whole video on this where literally we said that the builders having a hard time right now because interest rates were high was going to make homes more expensive in the future because they're going to start backing off building. We know for 11 straight months that building permits and building starts nationally have declined. And we actually need the opposite to happen. We need to find a way to make it. I'm honestly surprised with the amount of money Congress has spent that they have not, literally they've spent trillions of dollars, but they should have thrown some money toward incentivizing people to buy homes.
Well, but they haven't wanted to do that because that's one of the ways that they're trying to control inflation.
Right, but they're not really Fed's trying to control inflation. Congress, who knows what they're trying to do.
Get reelected.
They're trying to get reelected. Somebody said we ought to do a video on what would happen if they changed the income tax to a sales tax, how that would affect real estate. I thought that was a good one.
That would be brilliant.
I know. So we're going to read the next quote here. Housing supply that remains near historic lows has held up demand compared to other downturns, consequently sustaining higher home prices. This all goes back to there needs to be an incentive for builders. There needs to be a new home buyer incentive where the government says if you purchase a new construction home, we'll give you some greater tax benefit. And then to spurn the new home construction market, to get builders to go build more product.
Well, one of the things that I think needs to happen is these builders who are building, I think any new construction needs to involve solar. And it's not that I'm a huge fan of solar, but I think it would really help a lot of communities as far as their adoption of solar. And I think it would be kind of like the way Tesla has enabled other auto manufacturers to go ahead and build electric vehicles by demonstrating that people want to drive electric vehicles. People want to have solar. What people don't want is to have solar as patchwork, meaning solar put on after the house has been built. It would be nice if it was already incorporated in the house. I think that's the way to go. I think tankless hot water systems, that's the way to go. Build them in the house. You see that in upper end homes, but you don't see them in homes under $1 million very often.
Right.
And I think that's really where the money is. And that's, kind of to your point, the government wants to spend all this money on renewable energy and they want to incentivize people with renewable energy. Well, why not do it through new construction? That's the perfect way to do it. Do water reclamation, do solar, do all these things that make homes more sustainable, more energy efficient, more environmental. The government talks a good talk, but when it comes to actually putting their money where their mouth is, not so much.
Okay. You should be either the Secretary of HUD or Speaker of the House. And then you can make these policy decisions happen because you were a political science major.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Long time ago. Okay. This is the last quote from the article. Now, this quote it's going to blow your mind.
Okay.
It's very powerful. And when you think about it, before you go to sleep tonight, I want you to think about these numbers again because this is incredibly mind-blowing. I'm going to put this up here.
Okay.
The current sale pace, which means even with the lowest number of sales that we have right now, they're down 35%. Inventory is at a 3.3 month supply. So we still have an extremely low amount of inventory with very few sales. This is about half of where we'd like to see normally, says Rick Sharga, Executive Vice President of Market Intelligence at Atom Data. And we still have pent-up demands based on demographic trends. So what they're saying here is, yeah, sales are down, yeah, interest rates are high, but we don't have much inventory and we have a ton of pent up demand. This is not, that's why when interest rates first started going up and everyone freaked out, Juana and I were telling all you guys, chill out, don't panic sell. Hey, look, we've been happy to everybody this year that listed their house with us.
Thank you.
We thank you very much. We were able to help you. Some of you were relocating. Some of them were death in the families or divorces or things like that. We appreciate all the people. We gave you the best advice we could. But we didn't ever tell anyone you should sell your house. So we didn't say this is a good time to sell. You should sell because home prices are going to fall 50% and you can buy the same house next year for 50% less. And I know there are people who said that.
Right. So we wouldn't tell you that. If you would like to sell your house, we welcome the business. Please, find us down in the comment section and contact us, and we'd love to help you sell your house. But we're here to provide you with information. If you thought that this video was interesting, if it was entertaining, if it brought a smile to your face, please like the video, share the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment, and like I said, in the video description is our contact information. So if you are interested in selling your house, please feel free to reach out to us and we'd be happy to help you. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.